Hi guys, welcome to Vinyasa 5. So this Vinyasa flow is we're going to be doing 2 poses at a time. The first time we do the 2 poses is going to be that we will be taking them into hold. And the second time we do the 2 poses, we'll be doing breath to movement. So it really connects your breath to how your body moves. So if you think about the inhale being the extension of the body, and the exhale being the flexion or the grounding. So lightness and lift on the inhale, grounding on the exhale. You won't go too far wrong. But if you can't get that breath to sync with the movement, don't worry. Just as long as you keep breathing, that's the main thing. So we're going to start in child's pose today. So bringing our big toes to the end of the mat, bringing our knees nice and wide to the edges of the mat. Sit bones back towards the heels, hands reaching forward to the front of the mat. Bring the forehead down towards the floor and just take a couple of long deep breaths here. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Do a couple of breaths like that. Your next inhale, walk the fingertips a little further forward to stretch those armpits a little more. And on your exhale, maybe rock those hips to try and encourage those sit bones a little closer towards those heels. Keep those breaths coming, nice long big breaths in, trying to breathe into the space in the back to expand those ribs. Give space for those lungs to grow. Then as you breathe out, feel everything soften back down towards the floor and notice how the floor is stabilising your body. Maybe rock those hips a little more from side to side. Maybe take a roll of the shoulders. And then encourage them back towards the hips by squeezing those lower back muscles to draw those armpits down and those shoulder blades down. Your next breath in, walk the hands over to your right side of the mat. Bring your left hand on top of the right, nudge the left hip back and sink to the inside of that right thigh. Soften through the shoulders, relax through the head. And breathe that breath nice and deep in through the nose and out through the mouth still while we're in this child pose position. The breath in brings in that good oxygen and the breath out releases out all of those toxins. Then walk the hands through the middle, take them over then to the left side. Bring your right hand on top of the left. Let the body sink on the exhale to the inside of that left thigh. Relax the shoulders, relax the neck. Nudge the right hip back towards that right heel. All the time breathing long breaths in and long grounding breaths out. Then walking the hands over, back into the middle. Let that breath come out in neutral spine. Come up onto the fingertips, lift through the head. Maybe walk those fingertips a little further forward. And then release that chest back down and the palms back towards the floor. Then coming up onto the hands and knees, bringing the shoulders over the heel of the hands, the knees under the hips. Take a couple of rounds of cat-cow to articulate that spine. The breath in creates extension at the front side of the body. And the breath out, we fold everything back in, the chin into the chest, the centre of the spine lifts. Push into the mat with the hands and the big toes. And then take it back into the opposite direction. All the time noticing how those vertebrae feel as we move in and out of flexion and extension. Take it to the breath. Start to breathe in and out through the nose if you can, with that slight restriction at the back of the throat, that Ujjayi breath. That victorious breath, that breath that sounds like the ocean or a slight sound of Darth Vader. It's just a cue for you to know when you're breathing in and when you're breathing out. It helps with that movement in and out of poses, that movement with those floats. And the next time you come into tabletop position, step both feet back to a plank. Hold it in plank for a breath. Then paddle the feet as we start to lift up those hips, finding our first downward facing dog. Moving one heel towards the floor at a time. Feet hip width apart, hands shoulder width apart. Push into the whole of that hand. Soften through the elbows. Send the shoulder blades towards the hips. Create some space between the shoulders and the ears. Try and widen through the collarbone slightly. Try and lift through the tailbone a little bit more. Try and tether the ribs towards the hips so we get a good core strength in the centre. Try not to flare those ribs. Keep pushing that chest back towards the thighs. When you're ready to come to a static down dog, bring those heels to stillness. And then we're going to take 3 vinyasas, starting with the easiest option first. Come forward to a plank on the inhale. Then drop down with the knees, turn the creases of the elbows forward, slowly release down towards the floor. Take an untuck of the toes, push into the hands and lift up the chest. Release that chest back down, tuck under the toes, bring the chest back towards those thighs. Push into the hands and feet as you lift up the hips and start to squeeze those heels back. Option 2, or stick with option 1 if you wish. Option 2 comes forward to a plank. We drop or the knees or stay with a straight body, keeping those elbows grazing those ribs. Untuck the toes, push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release that chest back down, tuck under those toes, bring those chests back towards those thighs. Then push into those hands and feet as you lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. So stick with option 1 or 2 if you're coming with me, chaturanga option where we hover in low plank. Come forward to a plank position. Release either by dropping the knees or straight to the floor, or hover with me. Roll over the toes, lift up the chest, push the hands into that mat. And then taking it back into down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back. So take one more choice of vinyasa of yours. I'm going back to option 1, coming forward to plank, releasing down with the knees for me, bring the elbows to graze the ribs, untuck the toes, push into the hands, maybe a little baby cobra or higher, release back down, tuck under the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs, push into those hands and feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. So that is the 3 vinyasa choices. So we're going to start with the first part of our flow. Your breath in, we raise up with that right leg. Your breath out, we bring that knee to the chest. Gaze in between the hands and step that right foot through. Drop down onto the back knee and curl those toes. Raise the hands outwards, then up towards the ceiling. Coming into our high lunge. So we're holding here for a couple of breaths. Push into the top of the back foot, the whole of the front foot, sink the hips low, try and encourage the ribs towards the hips to tether them, so we're not flaring those ribs too much. Relax the shoulders, lengthen the arms, push strong into the floor to stabilise. Then bring those hands down to either side of that right foot. Walk the hands back towards the left knee. Bring the right toes back towards the shins in our half split position. And we're going to hold it here for a couple of breaths. So we feel that length through the back of that right leg. The toes being drawn back to the shins creates some stretch through that Achilles and calves. The more you lift up the tailbone and drop the hips forward, the more stretch you'll get in the back of that leg. One more breath here. Then walk the hands back towards that right foot. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, step back to a plank position and take a vinyasa of your choice. I'm option 2, so releasing down to the floor with straight bodies. Untuck the toes, push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release that chest back down, tuck under those toes, bring those chests back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. So we're going to take exactly the same thing on that left side with the holds. Your breath in, we raise up with that left leg. We bring that knee in towards the chest. We gaze in between the hands as you step that left foot through. Drop down onto the back knee and curl the back toes. Bring the arms up, out and around. to our low lunge position. Palms comes together. Sink into those hips. Relax the shoulders. Lengthen the arms. Push into the toes of that back foot and the top of that back foot. Push into the ball and the heel of the front foot. Trying to keep those tailbones tucked under slightly and those ribs towards those hips. Bring the hands around and down towards that left foot. Walk the hands back towards that right knee. Bring those left toes back towards the left shin. Keep the hips nice and neutral in the centre of the mat. The stretch comes through the back of that left leg. We're contracting that psoas muscle on that left hip to draw that chest over that thigh. And trying to lift that tailbone slightly and drop the front of the hips to feel more stretch through the back of that leg. Then walk the hands back towards that left foot. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, step the left foot back to meet the right. I'm taking option 3 Vinyasa, either choice of your own or take a drink. Release down towards hover, elbows graze. Roll up and lift up the chest. Making your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. And take a little nod and shake of those heads. So we're going to do those exact same poses, but with breath to movement. If you don't get the breath to movement, don't worry too much. Just make sure you keep breathing and don't hold the breath. Breath in raises up that right leg. Breath out brings the knee to the chest and steps that right foot through. Drop the back knee. Breath in raises the arms up to high lunge. Breath out releases the hands down and walk back towards that left knee, right toes back to the shin. Breathe in, lengthen the spine. Breathe out, fold over that leg. Breath in, walks the hands back towards that right foot, tucks the back toes under. Step back to plank. Your next breath out, Vinyasa of your choice. I'm option 2, releasing to the floor. Untuck the toes on the inhale, lift the chest. Release back down on the exhale, chest back to thighs. Push into those hands and feet, lift up the hips, squeeze those heels back. Nod and shake of the head, maybe a paddle of the feet if you wish. Your next breath in, we raise the left leg. Bring the knee to the chest. On the exhale and step the left foot through. Drop the back knee. Inhale, raise the arms, high lunge. Exhale, release the hands down. Walk the hands back towards the knee. Left toes back. Breathe in, lengthen the spine. Breathe out, fold over that leg. Breathe in, walk the hands back towards that front foot. Breathe out, step the left foot back. Nice long breath in. Long breath out, release to the floor or chaturanga. Roll through and up and lift up the chest on the inhale. Making your way back on your exhale, back to down dog. Have a nod, have a shake of the head. Come down onto the knees. Separate the knees, bring the big toes together, reach forward with the hands, back with the heels and the sit bones to meet. And just take a couple of moments here. Maybe you want to take on a little water. Before we start with that next flow with 2 more different poses. So we're forgetting what we've just done now, that's been and gone. We're moving on to the next section, which will be crescent lunge and warrior 2. So we'll be moving and standing in our poses for a few breaths the first time round. And then we'll be doing breath to movement in and out from one pose to the other. Your next breath in, come up onto your hands and knees, tuck the toes under, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. And just take a moment to find that good true alignment in downward facing dog. Hands shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart, encouraging the heels back, shoulders relaxed, create space between the shoulders and the ears. Your next breath in raises up that right leg. Bring the knee of the right into the chest. Come onto the toes of the back foot as you step that right foot through. Keep the hips low, stabilise the feet as you raise the arms up to your high lunge position. So your gaze can be forward or up towards those hands. Try and soften the back knees slightly, tuck the tailbone down and under. When you've got that tailbone tucked, maybe straighten that back leg. Widen the toes on that front foot for some good grounding. Widen the fingers to activate those forearms. Then finding warrior two, dropping the back heel. Right hand comes forward, left hand comes back. We tuck that tailbone down. We draw the belly back. We sink into that right knee. We keep that right knee drawing out to the right side of the mat. Arms nice and level, stretching to the front and back of that mat. Notice how it feels in that outturned hip. Notice the strength we're creating in that right thigh. Next breath out, windmill the hands down either side of the right foot. Step the right foot back to a plank position. Finish off a vinyasa of your choice or take on some water. I'm option 3. Elbows hugging those ribs. Lift the chest on the inhale. Release back down, tuck under the toes. Chest back to the thighs. Making our way back to down dog. Lifting the hips. Squeezing those heels back. Same on the left side. Breath in raises the left leg. Bring that knee then to the chest on your exhale and step that left foot through. Stay low in the hips as you breathe in, raise the arms to find that high lunge. Soften that back knee slightly, tuck the tailbone, tether the ribs and hips, then send that right heel back. So our shoulders are stacking over our hips. We're trying to keep strength building in that front left bent knee. We're trying to stretch through the thigh on that right leg and through that right hip flexor. Maybe the gaze is up to the hands. Maybe that feels too challenging on the balance and you need to keep that gaze forward. Whatever works for you in this pose. Then drop the back heel, bring your left hand forward, right hand back. Try and stay low in the hips as you move into this position. Left knee's turning out. Soften through the toes so we're not gripping into the mat. Pushing that energy into the outside of that right leg. Shoulders relaxed, arms lengthened. Shoulders stacking over the hips. Nice long line from the crown to the tailbone. Drawing that tailbone and pushing it down towards the mat. Next breath out, windmill the hands down, either side of that left foot. Step the left foot back to meet the right. Finish off a vinyasa of your choice. I'm going option 3, releasing to the floor. Option 2, lifting through the chest on the inhale, making our way back to down dog on our exhale. Once we get back into down dog, either paddle the feet, nod and shake the head, or come into that downward facing dog stillness, that A-shaped position. And this time we're going to take those same 2 poses, but with breath to movement, moving from one pose to the other. Your breath in, we raise up that right leg. Bring that knee to the chest. Gaze in between the hands, step the right foot through. Breath in, raises the hands, high lunge. Breath out, drops the heel, warrior 2. Breath in, scoots the left arm down and around, high lunge. Breath out, warrior 2, drop the back heel. Breath in, high lunge, come onto the toes of the back foot. Breath out, warrior 2. Breath in, high lunge. Breath out, warrior 2. Hold it in warrior 2 for a breath. Then windmill the hands down, either side of that right foot. Step the right foot back to plank. Your choice of vinyasa or take a drink. I'm going with option 3 to hover, rolling over the toes, lifting the chest, squeezing the shoulders back. Finding our way back to down dog. Lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back. So same on the left side with that breath to movement. Your breath in lifts the left leg. Breath out brings that knee to the chest and steps the left foot through. Breath in raises the arms, high lunge. Breath out, drop the back heel, warrior two. Breath in, scoot the right arm down and around, high lunge, toes of the back foot. Breath out, warrior two. Breath in, scoot the right arm down and around, high lunge. Breath out, warrior two. One more time, bring that right arm down and around on the inhale, high lunge. Breath out, warrior two. Hold it there for a breath. Then windmill the hands down either side of that left foot. Step back to plank and vinyasa or a drink, your choice. Me dropping the knees, option one. Roll through and up and lift that chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under the toes, chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back. Take a little paddle, nod and shake of the head. Then drop down onto the knees. Choice here to take a drink or find your way to child's pose. But remember, rehydration's key. Try not to allow yourself to become thirsty. Try and catch it before it happens. It's thirsty work when you're talking through the poses. So making our way down to child's pose just for a couple of breaths. Reaching forward with the hands, back with the sit bones. Sit the seat to the feet. One more breath here. So we're leaving alone those last two poses. And we're going to take on another two poses, which is going to be reversed warrior and side angle stretch. First time around, we're taking it into holds. And the second time around, we're going breath to movement. Making your way to down dog now, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Gazing back towards the toes, the knees or the hips. Your breath in raises the right leg. Your breath out brings that knee to the chest and step that right foot through. Drop the back heel, windmill that arm up and over, find warrior two first. Then turn the right palm, reach forward, raise the hand to the ceiling. Gaze into that right palm. Left hand can be down the back of the left leg or find a bind onto the back of that thigh. So we're only binding when we're holding. When we take it through flow, we'll just have that back hand trailing. So here, we try not to take it into too much of a back bend. Try and encourage that sit bone down, the tailbone down. Keeping that bend in that front right knee. Keeping the breath breathing into this right rib cage. Relax that shoulder of the right, but lengthen through that arm. The bind, we take that internal rotation of the shoulder to find that bind onto that right thigh. Keep nice and low in that right knee. Then coming out of reverse warrior, we bring the arms back to warrior two. Then your right forearm comes onto the top of the right thigh. And the left arm comes up and over. Again, try not to bring that shoulder of the left towards the ear. Try and send it down towards the hips, using those muscles at the sides of the ribs, serratus anteriors, to draw that shoulder down. Those deltoid muscles are lifting that arm up and over. The triceps are straightening that arm. We keep that bend in that right knee, trying to get that thigh nice and parallel to the floor. Just holding here, just for another couple of breaths. Shoulders turning to the left side of the mat, as are the hips. Right bum cheek tucked under, left hip turned down. Then bring that left hand down to the inside of the right foot. Step the right foot back to plank. Choice of vinyasa or taking water. I'm going option two. Releasing to the floor with straight bodies. Lift up the chest, squeeze the shoulders back. Release back down, tuck under the toes, chest back to the thighs. Push into those hands and feet, lift up the hips, squeeze those heels back. So again, we're taking the holds on the left side with reverse warrior and side angle stretch. So your breath in raises up the left leg. We bring the knee to the chest. We step that left foot through. We drop that back heel. Reach forward with the right hand to bring it up and over. Find warrior two. Turn the left palm, reach forward. Raise that left hand up to the ceiling, gaze in towards that left palm. Right hand can trail or internally rotate that shoulder to find that bind of that right hand onto that left thigh. Still stay low in that left knee. Feel an energetic push into the outside of that right foot. Relax the shoulder of the left foot, lengthen that arm. Tuck under that tailbone, draw the belly back. Hold it here for one more breath. Then bring that left forearm onto the top of the left thigh. Reach the right arm up and over, pointing the fingertips towards the front of the mat. Staying low in the hips, trying to get that left thigh parallel to the mat. Try not to lean too much onto that left forearm, or that left forearm onto that left thigh. Right shoulder stacks on the left, right hip turns out, left bum cheek tucks under. Still energetically pushing into that outside of the right foot and push down into that big right toe. One more breath in this position. Then bring that right hand down to the inside of the left foot. Step the left foot back to plank. Your choice of vinyasa here. Releasing down, I'm going for the hover. Roll through and up and lift up those chests. Making your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Have a little nod, shake of the head. Maybe just move those hips a little from side to side. Just to soften through that pelvis. And then bring those heels to stillness. So those same two poses with breath to movement. Remember, just breathe if you're not getting the breath in the right places. We can work on that in the future. So your breath in raises the right leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest and step that right foot through. Drop the back heel. Breath in. Finds warrior two. Breath out, reach forward and lift to reverse warrior. Breath in, shoulders over the hips. Breath out, right forearm, right thigh, left arm up and over. Breath in, reverse warrior. Breath out, side angle stretch. Breath in, reverse warrior. Breath out, side angle stretch. Breath in, reverse warrior. Using those obliques to move. Breath out, side angle stretch. Hold it there for a breath. Then release the hands down. Step back to a plank. A vinyasa of your choice. Option one for me. Elbows by the sides of the ribs. Untuck the toes, push into the hands, lift up the chest. Release back to down dog. Chest back to thighs. Pushing into the hands and feet, lifting up the hips, squeezing the heels back. Same on the left side. Your breath in raises the left leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest, step the left foot through. Breath in, find warrior two. Breath out, reverse warrior. Breath in, side angle stretch. Breath out, reverse warrior. Breath in, side angle stretch. Use those obliques to transfer from one to the other. Breath out, warrior two. Breath in, side angle stretch. Breath out, reverse warrior. Breath in, side angle stretch. Hold it there for a breath. Then release the right hand down, left hand down, step back to plank. And finish the vinyasa or take on water. I go for hover this time. Rolling through, lifting up the chest. Straight back to down dog with straight legs or bring your chest to thighs. Then lift your hips from there. Coming down onto the knees. Choice to maybe take on some water again or child's pose to restore the breath. So we're going to forget those poses we've just done, and we're taking another 2 poses, which are going to be reverse triangle and triangle. So again, first time we take it to holds. The second time we flow through, we take it breath to movement. So just taking another moment in child's pose, just to keep that breath restored, long, grounding and lightening. And when you're ready, making your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Getting ready for that right side to happen. Breath in, raise that right leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest and step that foot through. Drop the back heel. Windmill the left arm up and over, straighten that front leg. Then reach that right hand up towards the ceiling, gaze in between that palm of that right hand. And the left hand trails either down the back of that left leg or find a bind onto the t-shirt or the waist on the right side. Holding it here, pushing strong into both feet to energize the pose. Really lifting through the rib cage on that right side. Your next breath in, find warrior 2 arms. Then reach forward with the right hand, bring the right hand to the inside of the right leg. Left hand lifts, left shoulder stacks on top of the right, left hip turns out, right bum cheek tucks under. Soften the knee of that right leg so we don't hyperextend. And create some space between the waist, between the ribs and the hips on that right side of the body, so we're not crunching over. Use the muscles in the left side of the neck to keep the head in line with the spine, or maybe gaze up towards that left thumb if those necks are happy to do that. Keep energizing through the body, so try not to hang out with that right hand, just a feather-light touch on the side of that right leg. Really use that oblique strength to hold that pose. Taking one more breath in this position. And then taking a bend into that knee, bring both hands down, either side of the right foot, step back to plank. Take a vinyasa of your choice. Remember, this is the time when you can take on water if you wish. Good times to take breaks, because this is equal sides. If you take breaks on lefts and rights, you find the body doesn't find its balancing equilibrium point. And you'll notice one side of the body feels a little different to the other if you don't equalise the poses. So making our way back to down dog. Your next breath in, we lift that left leg. Bring that knee to the chest. Step that left foot through. Drop that back heel, reach forward, up, around with that right hand, straighten that left leg. Reach that left hand up towards the ceiling. Gaze into that palm, right hand can trail or find that left hip if you wish. It does mean you have to stabilise a little more if you're not trailing the arm, because the arm can rest on that right leg for a little support, but if you bind, there's nothing to support you. Gaze into that left palm. Keep those bums tucked under, bellies drawn back, ribs and hips tethered. Then bring those shoulders back, warrior 2 arms. Reach forward with the left hand, bring it to the inside of the left leg. Right hand lifts, right shoulder stacks. Right hip turns out, left bum cheek tucks under. Try not to hyperextend this left knee. Keep the head in line with the spine and the gaze up towards that right thumb. Relax through the shoulders. Try and encourage particularly that right shoulder back to the hip. Holding it here just for another breath. Then take a bend into that front knee, bring both hands down either side of the left foot, step back to a plank. Choice of your vinyasa here or water break. Releasing down with the straight body from me to the floor, untucking the toes and lifting the chest. Really squeeze those shoulders back. Then making your way back to down dog. Lifting those hips, squeezing the heels back. And take a little nod and shake of the head. A little paddle through those feet. Now we've taken those poses in holds. We're now going to do those poses with breath to movement. So remember just to keep breathing. It's not important so much to find the right breath at the right time. It's just important to make sure you breathe. Your next breath in, raise the right leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest and step that right foot through. Drop the back heel. Breath in, raises that left arm up and over, straighten the right leg, find reverse triangle. Breath out, find triangle pose. Breath in, reverse triangle. Use that oblique strength to make those transitions. Breath out, triangle pose. Breath in, reverse triangle. Breath out, triangle pose. Keep those hips and pelvises nice and stable. Breath in, reverse triangle. Breath out, triangle pose. And hold it in triangle for a breath. Then take a bend into that front knee, bring the left hand down, step back to plank. Take a vinyasa of your choice. I'm going for the hover, rolling through, lifting up the chest, making your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. So same on that left side, breath to movement. Breath in, lifts the left leg. Breath out, knee to chest, step that left foot through, drop the back heel. Breath in, raises the right arm up and over, straightens the front leg. Reverse warrior. Breath out, reverse triangle. Breath out, triangle pose. Breath in, reverse triangle. Breath out, triangle pose. Oblique strength moves us in and out of the transition. Breath in, reverse triangle. Breath out, triangle pose. One more time. Breath in, reverse the triangle. And breath out, triangle pose. Hold it in triangle for a breath. Then as you take your next breath out, bring the hands down, step back to plank. And vinyasa here of your choice. I'm option 1. Roll through up, lift up the chest. Make your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Lifting through the hips. Having a nod and shake of those heads. Maybe a roll of those shoulders. Then coming down onto your knees. Just taking a moment maybe to find that breath again. Before we take it into our standing balance transition. So standing balance, we're going to be doing staff. So your choice with staff, you can either have, we'll bring the weight onto the left foot first, step the right foot through. So you can either have the knee bent or straight. And the transition is from there to warrior 3. So lift, either bent knee or straight, and back. It's actually aeroplane pose, to be fair, not warrior 3. And that will be our transition. But the first time we do it, we're going to do the holds. The second time we do that breath to movement. So when you're ready, coming back into downward facing dog, make sure you give yourself space to bring that foot through. Relax through the shoulders, bring the heels towards the mat. Next breath in, raise up with that right leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest and step that right foot through. Bring the hands to the hips first. Step forward onto the right leg and stretch out that left leg. Holding it here. Remember, you can just keep that knee bent if you wish, or push that left heel away as much as you can. One more breath here. And then take it to aeroplane pose. Bring the hands besides the body, palms facing in. Chest tries to come parallel to the front, parallel to the mat. And we're balancing on that right leg. Left toes back to the shins. Try not to let that left hip rise too high. Try and keep it in line with the right. Hold it here for another breath. Release the hands down, step the left foot back, lift the right leg towards the ceiling. Bring the right leg back to meet the left. Take a vinyasa of your choice, forward to plank. Release down to the floor, I'm straight body. Untuck the toes and lift up the chest. Release that chest down, tuck under the toes, chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back. Have a shake of the head, movement through those hips. And then we'll take that exact same with holds on the left side. Breath in raises the left leg. Breath out brings the knee to the chest and step that left foot through. Bring the hands to the hips, lift the chest away from the thigh. Step forward onto the left foot, bring the right knee high. So either hold it here or straighten that right leg for a couple of breaths. Try and keep the pelvis neutral. Use the strength of that psoas to keep that leg lifted. One more breath here. And then bring it back towards that aeroplane pose, standing balance. Bring the hands by the sides of the body, let the shoulders squeeze back to the hips. Chest parallel to the floor, left leg straight, right leg straight, hips neutral. One more breath in this position. Then release the hands down, step the right foot back, step the left foot back and up towards the ceiling. Bring it back to meet the right. Take a vinyasa or take on some water. I'm going with option 3, chaturanga version. Hover, elbows in line with the body, lift up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades back, take it back to down dog. So we're taking that now for breath to movement. Breath in, raise that right leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest and step that foot through. Breath in, raise the shoulders over the hips. Breath out, step onto that right foot. Bring the left knee through. Straighten through that left leg. Breathe out, send that left leg back. Torso forward. Breathe in, raise the hands. Bring that left foot through. Breath out, send it back to that aeroplane pose. Breath in, come back forward and through. Breath out, send it back. Breath in, forward and through, either straight leg or bent knee. Breath out, send it back to airplane pose. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. Then release the hands down, step the left foot back. Lift that right leg towards the ceiling on the inhale. Release it down on the exhale. Forward to plank, inhale. Release down to the floor, exhale. Roll through and up, inhale. Release down, exhale, all the way back to down dog. So one more flow with that left leg. Going into that standing balance movement, breath to movement. Your breath in raises the left leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest and step that foot through. Breath in, bring the hands to the hips, shoulders over the hips. Breath out, step forward with the left foot, straighten the right. Breath in, aeroplane. Breath out, standing staff. Breath in, aeroplane. Breath out, standing staff. Bend knee or straight. Breath in, aeroplane. Breath out, standing staff. Breath in, aeroplane, and hold. Release the hands down, step the right foot back, lift the left foot to the ceiling. Bring it back down to meet the right. Take a flow vinyasa of your choice. Forward on the inhale, release down or hover on the exhale. Roll through and up and lift up the chest on the inhale. Making your way back on your exhale, either chest to thighs or lifting the hips. Squeezing those heels back. Breath in, lift those hips a little higher. Breath out, bring the knees to a hover. Breath in, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Breath out, knees to hover. Breath in, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Breath out, knees to hover. One more time, breath in, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Breath out, knees to hover, and hold for a couple of breaths. Push into the hands, push into the feet. Engage through the centre of the body, switch on that core. Holding it just for another couple of breaths. Then release the knees down. Bring the knees together in the centre, tops of the feet flat. Bring the forehead to the floor, the hands behind, maybe interlace the fingers near the feet. And just let those shoulders relax. Maybe just have a turn of the head in one direction. Maybe massage that forehead on the mat. And just let the hands release, the arms to be heavy. Maybe have a little rock of those hips from side to side. Roll of the shoulders. Then making your way onto your backs, either crossing the feet, bringing the sit bones back and the feet forward. Make it as energetic or as quick to the floor as you wish, using that last bit of core strength to release those bodies back to the mat. Bring the hands out by the sides, take a bend in both knees to neutralise the spine, heel toe the feet out to the edges, and then just let the knees windscreen wide from one side to the other. Neutralising that lower back from all that movement we've done through the spine. When you've done equal on both sides, let the knees drop inward, heel toe the feet back into the centre, let the knees drop out and let those hips just rock from side to side. Bring those legs to stillness, take a turn of the head from side to side in both directions, neutralising that cervical spine. Bring those heads back into the centre, bring the knees into the chest, and make circles with the knees on the ceiling in one direction. And take it back into the opposite way. Squeeze the knees in towards the chest, plug the shoulder blades down, the sit bones towards the mat as much as you can. Squeeze the knees as close as you can muster. Then release the feet, release the hands. The knees can either be staying bent and dropped inwards, or send those feet to the ends of the mat. Let the feet drop out to the sides. Give those hips a little rock from side to side. And slowly bring them to stillness. If you wish to lift the bum, tuck the tailbone towards that short edge of the mat, then bring it back down so that lower back isn't too arched. Turn the palms up, let the shoulders relax. Close the eyes. Let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth. Take a long breath in through the nose. And a long sigh out through the mouth. Take another breath like this. just let your breath be its own automatic breathing. Shoulders relaxed. Softness through the hips. Feet dropping out to the sides, not holding on any weight in the body. Allow yourself to witness your body in the space, either in your living room or wherever you're practicing. Feel like you're looking down on your body. Any muscles that feel tight, maybe give that muscle a squeeze and then let that muscle release. Watching that breath as it enters and exits that body with ease. The whole of the body being supported by the floor, stabilizing and grounding the whole body from the fingertips to the toe tips up to the top of the head. Being aware of how the whole of the body feels. After the practice you've just given it. Noticing the parts that felt tight at the beginning of practice that maybe now feel a little bit softer, a little bit looser. But also noticing how maybe you've strengthened around the core, around the hips, around the legs and around the shoulders. Full body awareness as you consolidate that practice. Bringing some movement back into the fingers, a little movement into the toes. Maybe into the wrists and the ankles. Maybe you wish to take a full body stretch, stretching the hands up and over the head, stretching through the fingers, the toes, maybe arching into that lower back. Then bringing the hands back up and over, drawing the knees in towards the chest, maybe having a little rock of that body from side to side, massaging that spine, thanking it for practice. Then take a roll over onto your side, make a pillow with the hands. Take a long breath in and a long sigh out through the mouth. Then making your way into a seated position, either cross-legged on the knees or the legs out in front. Bring the hands onto the thighs, take a roll of the shoulders up towards the ears, back down towards the hips, keeping those eyes gently closed. Taking your left ear to the left shoulder. Bring that head back into centre, right ear to the right shoulder. Back into centre, chin into the chest. Back to the centre, gaze up to the ceiling. Back into the centre. Turn the head to the left, back through centre, turn the head to the right, back to the centre. Breathe in, rise the hands up towards the ceiling, bring the palms together. Bring the hands down to the chest, soft gaze down towards the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, have peace in your words, have peace in your hearts. From my heart to yours, namaste.